All right, everybody. So excited to be on the call tonight. It's so funny when you have all the stuff going on right before you hit recording, all the kids saying hello, all the airplanes going overhead, and then we get to be professional and start. Love that. So I am really excited about tonight's call. For those of you who don't know who I am, this is Nikki Cotton, and I'm a 100 Club member with the Juice Plus Company. Been with them for 26, I was going to say 100 years. That wasn't right. For 26 years, and really it has been a very interesting journey. And what I'm loving now is getting an opportunity for everybody to hear from the younger and newer, they may not be younger all the time, in this case it is, national marketing directors that are coming on board that are really doing well, that we're going to have an opportunity to hear from and learn from. And tonight is no exception. We're going to be hearing from Jill Wagner. Just a little bit more, just so you know, one of the things that I absolutely love about our Juice Plus company is our culture. That we really help each other out. Doesn't matter what team you're on, right, Jill? We are there to support one another. It really makes a difference. And to know that the entire culture has each other's back and is really there to give our secrets to each other and help ourselves move forward. For those of you, again, that don't know, when Chris and I started this 26 years ago, we were seriously in a world of hurt. We were going bankrupt. We weren't quite sure how we were going to feed our kids our next meal. We didn't enjoy the work that we were doing, but we were looking for something that would make a difference in our lives and our children's lives. And we found it with the Juice Plus Company. And what I'm loving now is I'm finding other people that are finding ways with our Juice Plus Company to make a difference for their family, for their children, and really keep their family intact in a way that's going to make a difference and leave a legacy. So Jill, I know that you're a mom of 3 kids. You're from Park Hills, Missouri. You've been a stay-at-home mom for 18 years, certified elementary teacher, but you're not teaching anymore, right? And you and I have that in common. I don't know if you realize that I taught elementary school for 5 years, so we have that in common. You also own a traditional business still, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And Jill also has experience with real estate, other network companies, and she landed on her passion 8 years ago when she found Juice Plus, because it really allowed her to impact families while keeping her own family her priority. And that's what we love, like being able to keep our family's priority and still creating something bigger than ourselves. So I'm going to turn this, you just became a national marketing director in April. So I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about your story. And then I know that you say there's some non-negotiables in your business, and we want to hear what they are. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Jill, and let you share with us your wisdom and your journey.
Thank you, Nikki. Okay, so I'm just going to start by sharing and just tell you that I've been praying that this story will hit somebody in the heart tonight, and they will get something from my story of what they need. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Do you guys hear that or not?
A little bit of feedback. So I'm just going to remind everybody, I'm going to be checking to see if everybody's muted out, Jill, while you're talking, and I see possibly some people that are not. So I'll try to go from that angle.
Okay, thank you.
I am hearing feedback. So please, everybody, make sure that you're muted out. I just muted out somebody. So we're going to turn it over to you, Jill. And, I hear that. Oh, I think it's better. Let's go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just start off with my story here. I first heard about Juice Plus about 8 years ago. And I had just had a friend who invited me to a presentation. And it was in our area here. We live in a small town in Missouri. And she just told me she wanted me to come learn about health and nutrition. And there were lots of products going around our area at the time. And I didn't have a clue as to what to say yes to. So I went to the lady after the presentation and I asked her a lot of questions. Can you hear me? Okay. I asked her a lot of questions and she said to me, she said, you need to go look at the third-party independent research. I was so impressed with her. She didn't talk bad about any of the other companies that I had asked her about. She just told me to go do my research. So I did my research for about a week, and then I told my family because I knew that they would be skeptical. And then I scheduled, okay, sorry. Are you telling me to wait?
You know what?
Yeah, I'm going to mute everybody out. That means you're going to get muted, and then I want you to unmute yourself.
Okay.
So I'm trying to mute everybody, which I'm doing right now.
People on the phone, starting with area code 305 and 303, there's feedback coming from their line.
Okay, everybody's muted out.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. That's way better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had gone to this presentation in our area. We live in a small town in Missouri, and I was just so confused because there were so many things going around our area, and I did not have a clue as to what to say yes to. So I went up to the speaker afterwards, and I just asked her, I'm like, okay, what do you think about this product and this product? And she was so professional. She was just like, you know what? You need to go look for the third-party independent research behind each of those products. And she didn't have to badmouth any other company. She didn't have to talk down about anything because she knew what she had with Juice Plus. So I did my research for about a week, and then I told my family about it because I knew that they would be skeptical. So my upline in this company is Rhonda Hubbard, and she's amazing. And I took my mom with me to get to go meet Rhonda this day, and my mom was very, very skeptical. So the first point I'm going to make is that there's a funny story about my mom. She sat there acting like she was really put out by everything that was saying, but she left there a distributor. So even if you have somebody skeptical, you're going to want to take them with you, because my mom became my first distributor on day one. So at this time, my kids were 3, 6, and 9 years old, and I knew that we needed Juice Plus in their bodies. I knew that they needed those fruits and vegetables. The only way that we could afford Juice Plus, because like I said, I was a stay-at-home mom, the only way we could afford Juice Plus was through the Children's Health Study, and for me to become a distributor. I knew how these network marketing companies worked, and I knew I could get it for the best cost if I became a distributor. And my kids were sick often. They weren't sick with anything major, but just everything that went around. We spent a lot of money. We live about an hour from St. Louis. So we spend a lot of money driving back and forth to St. Louis, different doctors, prescriptions, co-pays, eating out on the way there, the gas money, times 3 kids, it really adds up. My middle son, he was my preemie, and at this time he was about 6, and he had had strep throat 7 times in 4 months. And the doctors wanted to take his tonsils out. My oldest had already had his tonsils taken out, and I just thought, you know what? This is the way it's going to be. Like, I didn't realize that what I was putting into their bodies was keeping them from being well. So we decided to get started on Juice Plus, and it didn't happen overnight, but over time, my kids got healthier and healthier. Brent never had to have his tonsils taken out, which was huge. And now my kids wouldn't even be able to tell you when their last sick doctor's visit was. They've just, I mean, they're older now, and they're just amazing. My oldest is almost 18. My middle one turns 15 tomorrow. And then we have a 12-year-old daughter too. So they are just beautiful kids. And I'm so thankful for Juice Plus. So another part of my story that I'm going to go into is about my dad, because I grew up in a family that was very athletic, and being physically fit was really just a way of life. We were all involved in sports. My dad and I, in the year of 2000, we'd done a triathlon together, and he had ridden the whole Katy Trail, which is a trail in Missouri, and he was leaving this next morning to go play basketball in Utah. And he would run about 3 miles every single day, and he would ride his bike about 15 miles a day. And he was really, in our area, like I said, we live in a small town, so he was really considered to be probably the healthiest man in our area. And one morning in October, this was in the year of 2000, I got a call from my mom. And it was one of those calls that you know that something's wrong whenever the phone's ringing. And she said, you need to get here fast. And so we lived a couple miles from my mom. We rushed to my mom's house. And I remember walking into the bedroom and seeing him laying on the floor, and they had the shocking things on him, and they were doing that on his chest. And we followed the ambulance to the hospital. And at the age of 51, they pronounced my dad dead of a sudden heart attack. And that was his first sign. And it just didn't make sense to me. And I know that no little girl should have to lose her dad at 19 years old. But it really took me a while to understand how he could have died being so healthy, because we were confused with what physically fit was. And I remember not really getting clarified about it until a conference that Dave O'Brien was at. And some of you may know Dave O'Brien, but he was one of the ultramarathoners. And I remember him being on stage, and he said, he was talking about the young kids that do the ultra marathons with him and how he's watched a couple of them drop over dead because they were physically fit, but not nutritionally fit. And that just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, that was my dad right there. And so I knew from that point on that I had a bigger mission within this company of Juice Plus. I quickly moved into the direct distributor level and into virtual franchise level and made it to sales coordinator in about 4 months. And I camped out there for quite some time. So if any of you are on this phone and you're camping out at sales coordinator, that's okay. I was making about $500 a month. I was being a stay-at-home mom. I was loving what I was doing. My family was coming first. And I was just sharing off and on with people about Juice Plus, and I was doing my customer care. And I was great with that for the first couple of years. But then after I was there for so long, for more than a couple of years, and there wasn't much growth in my business, I got really discouraged. My business did not look like I thought it should. I know that whenever I first signed my application in 2007, I thought I'd be an NMD by 2010. So this was not looking the way that I thought it was supposed to. And I was very discouraged. So our situation changed at home. We incurred a huge debt whenever we built our house. We have a beautiful house and I love it. But we incurred this huge debt with it and we needed more income. And my husband actually came to me one day and said that we need more income. And what I've realized that in this business is that you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And Rhonda, my upline, she was asking me about going to conference and I wasn't going to go. I was just dead set that I was not going to go to this conference and that I was just going to skip out on this because I needed to apply for teaching jobs and all this kind of stuff. And through a connection call, I will tell you the power of connection calls are huge. Through that connection call, we got me to go to this Phoenix conference. And I don't know if any of you have done any of Beth Moore's Bible studies, but she talks about a duck being satisfied with sitting in this little puddle when across the hill is this big, beautiful lake. But they can't even think about the lake because they're stuck in this puddle. And that was me. As I look back on it now, I realize that was me. So I was just going to do what most people do and go get the steady job. I was ready to give up on my Juice Plus business because I wasn't working it consistently. I wasn't having much growth. And, but like I said, through that connection call, I decided to get to that conference. And let me tell you, that conference was life-changing for me. Some of you may remember this conference. There was a man there by the name of Keith Cunningham, and he got up and he spoke. He talked about getting in line and staying in line, and he talked about the cafeteria line. He talked about how whenever you get at the back of the line, you go to the front, but sometimes you jump out in the middle of the line. Well, if you jump out in the middle of the line, where do you get back in at? You have to go all the way back to the back to start. I realized that I had been jumping out of line about halfway through and having to restart every time. And that was not getting me anywhere. So I realized that I wasn't consistent in my business and that nobody could follow me like that. So I started setting some of those non-negotiable things that Nikki's talking about here in my life. One of those things is conference. Conference is non-negotiable. So I'm telling you right now, get those conference dates, St. Louis, October 20th to 22nd on your calendar. I also decided that day that I was going to touch my business somehow every day, and that I was going to be a leader that people could follow. I started planning consistent activity. You can't blame anybody else for where you're at. You have to start planning that consistent activity yourself, even if no one around you is doing it. And you know what? When that activity started, people started following me. They could actually follow. We made it to senior sales coordinator, and in just a little while later, we made it to QNMD. This was about the time that I realized I really needed some personal change in my life. And I found Image, which has been a huge blessing in my life. And I decided at that point that I deserved more in my life, and I started to stand up for some things. At this point in our team, there had never been so much team chemistry. We were having so much fun, and there was so much engagement on our team. And they had a leader that knew exactly where they were going, and that is huge, because when the leader has the goal, the team can follow the leader. So that month that we hit QNMD, we needed 6,000 pay line volume. And I know some of you won't know all of what that is, but by the 27th of the month, we still needed like 3,500. And I remember going to an Image seminar and talking to Jamie Kinsey and Brandy Foss and Karen Richards and some of those girls, and they just poured into me that day. Those sideline relationships are so huge, and they're priceless. And I had an amazing team and an amazing leader with Rhonda that worked with us down to the wire. And we crossed that line within those last 3 days, not only at the 6,000 that we needed, but we had like 9,500 pay line raised that month. And most of it was in those last few days. So I thought, all right, here we go. We're just going to sail right into NMD, right? Our momentum was high, but then I realized this was another time of growing. Life continued to happen. I had a sales coordinator leg, POB, that completely dropped out. My granny got sick, and with my dad being gone, my mom had remarried, and she lives half of the year in Florida, and we live in Missouri. So I had lots of responsibility falling on my shoulders there with my grandma. And she actually passed away last June during all this time. And my husband and I started having a lot of marriage problems. And I'm just real about this because I feel like that God gives you your own story, and you can't help others unless you share that. So I know that there may be somebody here going through the same thing, but we didn't just start having those problems. They had just started to become not acceptable to me anymore, those issues that we had. I knew the way that I wanted to raise my kids, and I feel like that sometimes you just have had enough. And I had asked my husband to move out. And I knew that I just want to say that you can do this without your spouse support. I know it's so much easier to do it with, but if you're fighting that battle, know that you can continue to move forward in this marketing plan on your own. And part of my motivation in going to Q was that I knew that a divorce was a possibility for my future. And I knew that because of this Juice Plus franchise, I would be okay because of financially what it was providing my family. But it was a hard time. And I'm thankful to say that over this past year, I've got to come to watch this man, who is my husband, know the Lord Jesus Christ as his personal Lord and Savior. And I've got to watch him step away and give up his alcohol addiction and live his life totally for the Lord, which is amazing. This change has just rocked my world, and I love him more and more every single day whenever I get to see these changes. I share this because it was the power of Jesus Christ in our life, but I also had to make some hard decisions and decide what was non-negotiable again in our family life as well. So I'm thankful that I was strong enough to do that, but I give all the glory to Jesus for restoring our family and putting that back together. And since that time, our team has just continued to grow so much. And we have this new team in Texas, and I just want to encourage you to work down into your downlines, because this team in Texas is not direct to me, but I just felt like I needed to go there and help train them. And I went last October. And since that time, I think they've added almost 40 distributors since last October. I mean, just a huge line. And 2 of them are fast tracking to senior sales coordinator this month. So that's just huge. And I've just got to watch God bless this team all over the place. And the month that NMD happened, we were just in conference in March. And then I got home from conference, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got to make it to NMD. We can do it this month. And I got sick. I had no voice for like 3 or 4 weeks, like no voice, couldn't box or anything, was having to type everything out. I was coaching volleyball, and I tore my calf muscle. I was so frustrated. I was just like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get any of this done? And my oldest son, he's 17, and he said to me, Mom, maybe God is telling you that you need to be still and that you need to be quiet and that he's going to do this, not you. And I just want to say, was he ever right? Because the day that NMD happened, I was actually on the golf course. Like I said, putting my family first. I was on the golf course on qualifiers day, watching him qualify for his state tournament. And my team, the chemistry was so high, and they were just helping each other out sideline to sideline. And we made this with me on Voxer on the golf course. We made this happen because of an incredible team I have and the chemistry that was amazing. So I just want to say, first of all, that God's timing was way better than mine. Now the conference is in St. Louis, which is just an hour from us, and the kids are off school and everything. It just worked out perfect. And I just want to also say that it doesn't matter how many times you have to reset that goal. Like I said, I thought in the beginning I'd be an NMD by 2010, and here it is 2016. But it doesn't matter how many times you reset that, just as long as you don't quit. And I want you to really think about, if you do set the goal, how much closer are you going to be to where you want to go than if you don't set the goal? And I really feel like with the right heart set and the right mindset and when you're working your own skill set, I think really settle into your strengths, because everybody has something different that works for them. Everybody has different skills that are better for them, and really not comparing your journey to anybody else's. That comparison will steal your joy. I know I've got to watch in the St. Louis area some incredible leaders make it to NMD in a year, in 2 years. And it's sometimes hard to not compare yourself to them. You think, oh, what am I doing wrong? Or, what are they doing that's so much different than me? And it's really settling into your own strength and finding what works for you, and just continuing to do that day after day. This journey to NMD after 8 years has still been just as amazing as I thought it would be back in 2010. And, really the thing of embracing your journey, it's yours and only yours. And really who you become along that way, I feel like is the most beautiful part. So I know that we're just like 30 days away from the St. Louis conference close of business. And so I'm just going to encourage you to think about where you want to be walking into that conference. Because I hate for anybody to be sitting in that conference and being like, oh my gosh, well, I should have done this. I could have done this. I would have, all of that. You don't want to be sitting there like that. What if you played all out for these next 30 days? And it's not too late to reset that goal. I mean, you can have a brand new goal that you can accomplish in the next 30 days. Amazing things can happen. And I'm just going to tell you those non-negotiables in my life. First and foremost, get to that St. Louis conference, October 20th to 22nd. Be that leader on your team that sets that example. I always hear people say you want to be the best distributor on your team, and getting to that conference is doing that. You cannot blame your upline for your success or your not success. It starts with you. The activity starts with you. And to be consistent. You don't have to work full-time hours at this. If you just stay consistent and follow, your daily activity, the plan is simple, but it's not always easy. But I do know that amazing, amazing things can happen in just 30 days. And I cannot wait to see all of you. I love that I get to see your faces on here tonight. But I can't wait to see all of you in St. Louis and just getting to accomplish what it is that you want to and crossing that stage. And I thank you for asking me to be on here tonight. That's just a blessing to be able to share my story with others.
Hey, Jill. So a couple things. I can't believe you have a 17-year-old. You look like you're 20. My mind, which is a testament to you and the way you live your life, but I know it's got to be Juice Plus making that skin absolutely glow. I mean, you just always look glowing. It's amazing to me. But I have one question in it, and then we'll open it up. We've got like 4 minutes left. But my question is, how did you, if you can answer this, how do you feel you created team chemistry? What's the magic, do you think? And I'll put you on the spot.
Okay, I don't really know exactly, but I'm just a person that loves people. And so I feel like that, once you start that, I like to have a lot of fun, and I love people. So once you set that example at the top of loving your team, and I think that that's what they hear on my Voxer messages, and that's what they hear from me all the time, is just really how, it's not just me getting to my goal, it's about them getting to their goal, and about this sideline getting to this goal. And we talk about all of those things. So when it came down to that wire, if they knew that I had one Missouri leg that needed to finish out a 2,000 plus, I had some girls from Texas on a completely different sideline team place in a Tower Garden order under a girl from Missouri because they wanted it to happen so bad for our team.
Wow.
And that's that team chemistry that it was all about the love and what they wanted to happen.
And I love to hear that story, because the willingness, some people are offended by that, placing an order under somebody else, but they saw it as a way to raise up the whole team.
Yes, they did.
It really does give energy to the whole team. When you get to be NMD, everybody feels it. So yes. I love hearing that story. That's really great. Does anybody else have one last question for Jill? We've got 2 minutes left. And if you do, just you personally unmute your phone. And if you've got a question to ask her, go for it.
Hey, Jill, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
I'm on the phone. I'm not on Zoom, but this is Chris Cotton, and I just wanted to acknowledge you. And you just rocked it tonight. It's one of the best calls ever. So thank you, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
Thank you so much, Chris. I was so blessed to get to meet you and Nikki in Florida.
That was so much fun. And so, Jill, you're walking the stage in St. Louis?
Yes!
Yes! Oh, my God! Everybody on the call. Yeah!
Hey, Nikki.
We're all going to be able to. Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
This is Buffy. You know, I totally am echoing all of the celebration. And Jill, you and I have not met, and so thank you so much for tonight. My question is, you said you like to have fun with your team. Can you give some concrete examples of what fun is?
Oh, good one.
Oh gosh. Okay. So first of all, it's just kind of my personality. I'm a goofball. Like I take things lightly. I'm just, I'm constantly making, I think one thing to make it fun is that it's not always about business. Like I get into their personal lives too. Like I love everything about their personal lives too. And so we get to really know each other. Like if you're local to me, we're going out for karaoke after an event. We're having fun. We're doing team stuff like that. We have a team potluck at my house here next week, and we're going to be all bringing a dish, and we get together as a team, and we sometimes make dream boards. This next time, I think we're going to make the what Wendy Campbell says to make, the organizational workbooks, and just showing people how to do that. But it's getting together and getting to build those relationships like that, but also doing some training along with it, but keeping it fun. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I know that some of the people on the call have another team call. What I'm going to really ask, and of course we've got next week is our small team heat call, so you guys will be doing smaller team calls with your own teams, so make sure that you get on those. And then I want everybody to unmute their phones and give Jill a really hot thank you, because we are the heat, right? So everybody give thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, Jill.
That's wonderful.
You're hot.
Thank you.
It was awesome. So you rock.